Listen, we are back. What is this? Our fourth one of these? Our fourth episode,
Yeah,
Black
fourth one.
Jaded Wolf Uncaged. And it's funny, we're uncaged. We don't chat too often during the week. A couple texts here and there, and we start talking. And I'm like, you know what? We just
Let's just record.
we just got to hit the record button. We just got to get in there. We just got to hit the record button because we're gonna have all these behind the scenes conversations, and I want the whole world to hear them, even if it's a conversation that's not about like your time at a show, your time at the whatever shows you're going to. Because I know we're focusing on at what happens at shows because we don't got a lot of content on that, but. It's been a fun time the last couple of weeks since we chatted. There have been some auctions and Thanksgiving. There are a couple of shows. So, without further ado, we welcome back Sharon, Black Jaded Wolf, for another episode of Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged. How you doing?
Thank you. Very excited. I think a lot of things to unpack in this episode, and a lot of people are coming up to me in shows now. Oh, I watch your show. You and Cage are crazy.
I love it. I mean, that's the point, right? And we definitely get a lot of great feedback. Keep that coming, guys. I mean, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, should I put a comment and not put a comment? We read that.
Let's do it. Yeah, just comment. Yeah.
Well, the first thing she said, she's like, people come up to me and tell me they like the show. We're people. I mean, I like to hear that stuff too.
They said it's a little different. Yeah, they said it's a little different, so which is good.
Yeah, I mean, we try to be a little different. Speaking of a little different, I mean, I'm very different. But I got a cool message. I know yesterday you were at the White Plains show, right?
Yeah.
So we can talk about that show in a sec. Were you at a show the previous weekend also?
Yes, I was. Chicago.
Oh, my goodness. You want to give me like a quick Chicago summary? Tell me about the Chicago show.
Chicago was good, better than I anticipated. I could only get one table, so I still took Chewy. We flew there, just pack a lot in our Ford showcase, and we did good. There's some wholesale. There's some obviously, like, remember we talked about packing some strategy, what you're packing. So there's a new trend I'm noticing. Some of the repack are taking a little step back, not as much. They're still buying. But now they put a notice. So when one or two of the bigger repack are telling you, they literally sat on some booths and say, we're not buying right now, but we are doing some trading.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. So tell me So for anybody who didn't listen to Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged episode 3, go back and listen. You have to stop now. You can't skip ahead. You can't skip ahead. It's like a sequenced show here. You're gonna miss everything. No, I'm just kidding. But in that show, we talked about a really cool strategy for going to the Chicago show you were headed to, and you said there were a lot of repackers there, and basically you were bringing some inventory for people who would buy quality cards, slab cards, PSA 9s, 10s of stars, stuff that they can put into their repacks and do well. And you knew that it would be like a wholesale, and you were able to kind of sell them, get rid of that stuff, create some liquidity for you to be able to buy cards for people to show. It was sort of like we were talking about Hakuna Matata. It was the circle of life in the card show. And so you went, and people were not, the repack buying was not as robust as you thought it was going to be. Tell me what you think that means. What do you think that means for the hobby, right? What do you think it means?
They're restructuring. That's all it means, They told me, they're clearing some older inventory, either some losses or it's just that they have too much of something, and, so they're willing to trade, They could be good trade.
Do you think it means PSA is getting back a lot of stuff? Maybe the backlog is getting clear and that they're getting repack quality stuff from a million sources, just like auction houses are getting a lot of stuff listed?
It's possible. Or also stuff that they thought it was hits before are not hits anymore. That's the main reason. So let's say the main hits of the product is supposed to be 1,000 to 2,000. And that card that they bought are down to 500. So now they have to take a loss or either put it aside if you have a lot of money and then, suck it up and put it in a cheaper repack, or now you have to basically buy newer, spend some money and buy newer, bigger hits.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
It's very interesting. And I think it threw some people off the loop. There are people that I just found out, I mean, I don't do it as a living, like to sell to repack and stuff like that. But it's amazing. There are actually people that save up their money, go to shows, and then sell it on the next show on different companies, that buys those things. And it's amazing. Now one guy's like carrying a bunch of stuff, and then they told, "Oh, we're not buying right now." There is like his face is like, "I just flew in to get rid of this stuff."
Wow. So he's
Yeah.
moving it in repacks. He sets up with repacks there, or sets up with cards and tries to sell.
No, he just carries his luggage and just go to find those people that buy. Sometimes even set up appointment, and stuff like that. And then it just got thrown off the loop. Oh my God, they're not buying right now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's different, but even though that plan didn't work out according to what you thought it was going to be,
Oh yeah, but the
you
show
still
was
had a good
very
show.
good. Actually, the show was pretty successful. There was actually some buyers that are buying $1,500 to $2,000 card. So, and these are collectors and investors, but
Okay.
they're just limiting. Let's say they said instead of buying 10,000, they're buying 10,000 to 1,500 to 2,000, maybe.
All right. So
So
we
they
do
might
this
hold it a little.
show for a reason, right? Because you're out there, you're doing the live check, basically. In the risk management world, we do a live and well checks. We send people out to make sure before we send them a check, they're actually alive and to cash the check. So you're out there doing a live and well check of the hobby in person. You're checking the pulse of the hobby, because the vast majority of people who watch this show, who watch hobby content in general, they just see what Instagram is putting in front of them. They see a headline that, you shouldn't end shows on holiday weekends, and that there was a bloodbath, and, Black Friday came early, or, it was really on Saturday or Sunday, and that Magic Golden or PWCC had great auctions last night. And, if you just close your eyes, open them up and say, wow, Instagram, the hobby's dead, the hobby's dying. So you just said Chicago, people were buying. Right. So give people because we'll get to yesterday's show in a second, but I got a message that said I was at the Westchester show today. Excellent vibe, very busy, tons of vintage relative to modern. But my son got a nice PSA 10 Jalen Hurts downtown optic. I bought a bunch of auto cards of Hall of Famers like Koufax, Carew, and Mattingly. I'm an optimist for him on the Hall of Fame. I was glad to see things so busy, and more I'm noticing vintage coming more prevalent at these shows. I saw basketball card guy say, hey, it's show day. He did a little story, and it was a huge line just to get into the show, right?
Yeah.
So
I saw him too. Yeah, the show was pretty packed. Usually it's one of my better. Some people don't like the show, but usually it's my retail show. So like I said, I changed my strategy during like a type of show like this. A lot more retail, a lot more like maybe 500 and below cards for kids, tons of kids around, So you just got to plan a little bit ahead, know who's coming to the show. But there was definitely a lot more people. And it wasn't even about the signers. Some shows are like, oh, they have great signers. That's why there's a lot of people. It's a weaker signer show, but it was a lot of people buying yesterday. So
that's good. I mean, you think that's holiday time, or do you think people just realize there's bargains, a little bit of both?
I think it's holidays, a little bit of both too, maybe. So cheaper stuff are really affordable now. Like if you're really, there's still, people don't understand. The prism-based stuff are still, I know people don't care about it, like the investors, but retail people do. It's like if they want a Tatum right now, they would buy an optic Tatum for $150, or $100. I mean, it just to be a fan, basically.
Yeah.
So
let's spend 2 minutes on that, right? Because that's the hobby the way that I remember it, right? I mean, it's not everybody out there with their scientific calculators and their phones looking at comps and saying, all right, I can't buy this Tatum optic for $150 because next week it's going to be $135. I'm not going to be able to flip it at the next show. I can't really stick it into a mystery repack. I can't take it, sell it on Whatnot for a quick profit. It was somebody saying, wow, I like that optic card. It's less than a prism. It's $150, and I'm going to take it. And I'm going to put it on my shelf, and I'm going to watch the Celtics games, and I'm going to watch Tatum ball out. And this is me being a fan, sort of like buying a jersey and wearing it to school. You know? And that's a different swing back to the way that it was before. It was, all right, I'm going to stack as many of these and call them, shares of a player. And hopefully he performs and I can sell these shares of a player in a week or two for more.
Exactly. So like I was telling you, like the Comic-Con vibe, kind of yesterday was kind of like a Comic-Con vibe,
That's good.
A lot of sale. I mean, I literally went back on Sunday to my office and brought in like probably 100 and below stuff that kind of flew, Kids were buying $15 Banes, Maxi, $25 like Jalen, all PSA 10s too. So
wow. So
yeah.
$25 Bane and Maxi PSA 10s.
Yeah, these are like the cheaper stuff, stuff that got stuck in PSA like for a year and a half, and I couldn't move them and stuff like that. I don't
Your
care.
Chronicles and your,
Yep.
Mosaic
Hmm.
debut versions and that kind of stuff. But I mean, listen,
Exactly.
there's a lesson learned there, right? I mean, you took a very different approach to the Chicago show than you took to
Hmm.
this show. You called one
Yeah.
a retail show. And even, I mean, look, you have the luxury of this because it's a semi-local show for you, but
Hmm.
even you were able to pivot from your Saturday offerings to your Sunday offerings by bringing back, you went back to the office and grabbed, $100 and lower, $50 and lower
Yeah.
cards because
Hmm.
people were asking for.
Hmm.
And do you think people think they're too good to play in that sphere? Do you think dealers don't want to play in $25 PSA 10 cards? You think they don't want to bring them?
It's yes and no. Some of the higher investor that wanted the bigger money, but no, obviously. But there's tons of whatnot people that are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't announced it yet, but
Here we go.
I'm joining whatnot, and after a year of like trying to convince me, Binder, I'm joining whatnot in like 2 weeks. My first episode show with them and stuff like that. So
Wow,
yeah,
awesome. There you go. See
but
that? We put you out there. We uncaged you, and boom, whatnot
but
has to have you. I love it.
but like those are the things that sells too and whatnot, because there's a lot of non-hobby people that, like I said, like, oh my god, you have a $20 $25 Jalen Brown, like, why not PSA 10 already? I mean, you submit one right now, it costs you $18 and $20
Correct.
plus shipping, so why not buy the card already at $25?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it happening now again in shows. It stopped for a little bit. Like last year, nobody's buying those things. But now kids are like, "Oh, this! I'm so excited to get this," that sort of thing. So it was fun.
I mean, listen, that's the way it was. I
Hmm.
don't know whether or not institutional money backs that type of a hobby, or maybe there's a lane for both of them. So with prices kind of coming down, you're seeing a little more fun, a little more kids, a little more retail buying, or
Yeah.
that's just this specific show, you think?
No, I think it was the same way in Chicago. I have a lot more people asking me, like, I feel bad. There was like this 8-year-old kid. Do you have anything in your showcase below $200? And in Chicago, I couldn't. I thought, I looked. I couldn't find a single card that's below $200. I kind of felt bad,
You had one
This,
table. You had one table. It's prime
and
real
I
estate
flew
up there.
there. So But I did that before. I always cover every price range before, but based on what people demand, I obviously change. But now, as a business person, now you have to probably restructure again, and it's that time.
So I have a question for you. Normally I ask questions and then answer them myself within the question and, spend 4 minutes and then give you 10 seconds to respond. And I just did it again. But
It's
I'm
okay.
going to actually let you answer this because you have a unique perspective in the hobby. I'm not at these shows. I mean, I go to a show here and there. You're at shows every week. I would say that overall, the hobby has sort of like little negative air about it right now. There's a lot of like death in the air, the Grim Reaper knocking on every single door of the
Yeah.
auctions and the whole deal. And I think with that uncertainty comes a little bit of panic. And, I've
Yeah.
got a lot of messages from people. I'm just selling everything. I'm putting
Hmm.
everything into the auctions and I'm going to sell them. I'm consigning all my stuff. I'm going to take a loss, like I just want to sell, sell, sell. And I think part of that is because, they get their news from a lot of doom and gloom. There's a lot of hanky
Yep.
panky talk. There's a lot of,
Hmm.
naysaying negativity. And, some of it rightfully so, some of it earned. And here I am keeping my question really short for you. You get
Hmm.
to see what's going on out there in the real world at shows with people buying. I guess my question is, do you have a different take from is the show different than what you see on Instagram? Right? I mean, what would you say to people who are like, wow, this is all I see. Everybody's saying that PWCC and Golden and all these sales were, quote, bloodbaths. I better get rid of my stuff now. What would you tell those people?
Take a step back. If you could, I don't suggest selling your whole collection, because before the announcement of pandemic, that's what a lot of people did actually. sold their collection and they regret it. It's like the stock market. It's like when they tell you, dude, they always in your investment app, they tell you before you open and look at your how much you lost, they tell you it's better to stay and be patient. And this is the same way. But there are stuff that you have to ask your gut. Is certain stuff gonna come up the next year or two? Or they gonna drop a little bit more? And then those are stuff that you might consider moving if you're not attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people, tons and tons more people bringing Kobe autographs, Jordan autographs. These are true collectors. Years ago, I met this guy in Chicago. He was just buying Jordans and Kobe, like not selling any of them. And now I saw him this Chicago, and he's like, he's taking a loss and trying to get rid of those.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a true collector, I suggest keeping them. But there are also people that I told this to him like last year in Chicago when I saw him. It's at 15,000 right now. Maybe try to sell a couple, 15 to 25,000, some of his Jordans. And then I saw him this summer and it was down to 8 to 10,000. So that's 5,000 loss already. And he bought all this Jordan within like below $2,000.
Right.
And now, are you going to wait for it to, do you really think it will stay at 8,000 or it might even drop to 5? So at this stage, it's at 5 now. So I guess he decided he's like, time to sell some at maybe 5 to 8,000, So that's what price range. If he doesn't sell it at that price range, he said he's going to keep it. So that's the stage we're in. You have to assess if Jordan is a little weird because I don't wish people bad, but if something happened to Jordan, obviously it will go crazy for a few years. I don't want that. But the Kobe situation, it has dropped a lot recently. Yep. His cards, even on card, now are like $700. You don't see that for almost the last 3 years. And now it's time to consider if it's really worth moving some of those Kobe's. That type of thing.
You did that too yourself, right? You did the Kobe.
Yeah, I did.
You sold the Kobe yourself, and you could have gotten more for it. You didn't, but this is what you're reassessing, right? I mean, you assess, is that money probably better spent in something else?
Yeah. It's one of my biggest probably purchase during pandemic, it was at his height.
Right.
I paid like I think 80,000 for the Kobe logo, man. I ran it this week and it ended at 36 with buyer's premium. So I took like 40, I guess, loss, 40 something, and you got to take some taxes, and all that stuff. But so that's why when you made the comment with Cajun, and I was like, why would I sell? I would rather sell the Kobe right now because I think it might drop even a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sucky because it's a logo, man. It shouldn't.
Instead of selling a prospect that you might have gotten in on, right? And your whole deal.
Should I sell a Tatum right now? Or Tatum is a different story because he's so high right now. But I do think, but I think
like a Maxey or,
Maxey, or if you have like Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, that team that you don't think are going to win and make an impact, those players. Mm-hmm. And, I would hold those right now a little if you got in them in a fair price,
I mean, it's a different way of saying it, right? I would say, hey, trim some of the fat that you're non-PC, right? And listen to what's being said here, guys. Assess your own PC. Sharon's saying, I might take a loss on a Kobe, but I'll put that 40,000 into some prospects now and maybe make that back faster, and then that Kobe's going to come up, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And she's right. I'll give you. Listen, she's talking about a loss she had. I'll give you a mistake that I made just during this year, coming into the NFL preseason. I mentioned this on the show, and I gave people time to buy, and that we weren't competing with me. I bought a lot of Jordan Love cards. I bought RPAs. I bought National Treasure True RPAs out of 99. I had like 5 of them. Mm-hmm. I had some flawless, PSA 10s. Out of 20, out of 10, like nice colored patches. The vertical ones.
Did you keep them?
Okay, so this is where the story goes, right? So obviously the answer is no, right? But I bought them in the beginning of the season, like before the season started, thinking, all right, maybe they'll trade him, right? Yeah. Maybe they'll trade him, and that could be my exit. If he gets traded in the preseason, there was a lot of talk about it being traded. he didn't get traded. And then the season started and Rodgers was, playing okay. They were the whole deal. And my thought to myself was around week 3 or week 4, like, he's not going to play this year. They're going to let Rodgers run out his string. Rodgers will be good enough. And even if he does play this year, why would they put him out there and throw him to the wolves with this team that if Rodgers can't make it work, if they do let him play, he's going to look like shit. If Rodgers can't make it work, why would I want to hang on to him? And I sold my stuff like week 5, maybe. I lost. I took a loss because I said, you know what? It didn't work out. I took a little bit of a gamble. Maybe they'll trade him. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he'll get traded the trade deadline. And it wasn't happening. They said they weren't trading him, and I sold a loss. Now, if I had those this week, if I had those today, I'd be making a ton of money. Right? I would be selling them, but I wouldn't be holding them. I'd be selling them today.
Yes.
And whoever bought them from me,
100%.
Sell them.
Yes.
But so, it's a perfect example, right? Like, that's one where I shouldn't have sold my Jordan Loves. I should have sold something else. I should have sold some Kobe's. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because look at the potential swing that's there that a Kobe's not going to have, or the Jordan's probably not going to have. So I understand what you're saying, and just give a real world example of that for me.
And that's the thing about prospect. There's still a time, as long as they're still with the team. Baseball prospect is even more intricate, but football is literally when there's a chance, people want to prospect and jump on it. And to me, I told my customer who I helped this offseason try to get a lot of Jordan Love because he was obsessed with Jordan Love until the news that they re-signed Rodgers, obviously. Yeah. But instead of panicking, he bought a bunch of treasures and stuff. I told him just put it away, because I have a feeling, if he doesn't stay healthy, because I think Rodgers was going to get hit a lot this year.
Yeah.
And, he's a little older. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, and he hurt himself. But so that's the thing. And I guess the other part is kind of know who you are. That was me stepping outside my comfort zone. That was like gambling for me. I bought him. And by the way, I now know who I am, and that's not patient enough for these things to not work out immediately.
Patient you know what I mean? Is the main key. Yeah.
You know who my two, leading into preseason, like week 1 preseason buys were? Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Love. And I sold them all. Yeah, I know. And I sold them both before. I sold McCaffrey before he got traded. Man. I took a small loss on McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I sold after he had one really good weekend. I'm like, all right, goodbye. And I took the loss on Love. So here I am. I made the right call. So you talk about preseason. You love Jalen Hurts and Tua, right? And you've made the right call, and you've done well with those. I made what I think, depending upon when you look at them, Jordan Love today is a great preseason call because you can get rid of your stuff. Christian McCaffrey, when he got traded to the Niners and now may actually have like a postseason run in him.
So what you did are bigger gamble than what I did, because the guys I did have a secure job. Obviously, if they didn't play well, then it could have tanked too. But yours is you're relying on other people's performance too. McCaffrey is a little different. My thing with running back is, is a little tough. I don't invest in running back. That's one position I don't invest in. But
yeah, so you don't buy Justin Fields. Just kidding. I call him a running back. See,
I don't have Lamar either. I don't have Lamar either.
So listen, that's a good question, right? You saw the Lamar. What was it? The 1-of-1 sell,
1-of-1,
right? The Shield, I think it was. And it sold for so much less than like the Burrow and the Herbert and the Trevor Lawrence and all these other ones. Why do you think that is? Because Lamar, like, people know what he is, or because it's sold because the price is coming down? Give me your
I've asked different people this, and I've asked one of my good friend, and he's a fantasy advisor basically.
Yep.
And he thinks, not to be negative, but he thinks the color of his skin and the way he plays is one of the reasons. So, and but that it's the way he plays. He's a running. If you read, and not only that, he has started a stigma. I'm talking about Lamar. Got into the playoff first few years in his career and got bounced in the first round.
Right.
Yeah, and then now
he's getting. And has gone downhill.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But now he's literally losing some crazy tough game in the fourth quarter that people are blaming him, even though not looking that his team is not great.
Yep. Yeah.
He doesn't have the weapons that those guys, your DeBoer. Well, Boer doesn't have a line, but
I
He
told
has
people
okay
Jaguars money
receivers.
line in yesterday's Whatnot show. In our Sunday morning Whatnot show, I said Jaguars money line. I think the Jags, if all falls right, they could beat the Ravens, and they did.
Exactly. So now they have a stigma, and and if it will follow Lamar, for a little bit until he proves that he could get in the playoff, win, and go deep and go into the Super Bowl. That's the only way it could disappear. So once a player that I'm investing have that stigma, I unload them. It's just my way. It's people, they have. That's the same thing with Mac Jones.
It's interesting. Momentum. I've made an argument on my show a bunch of times that with cards, it's this slow build up,
Yep.
but once they
Hmm.
fall, it's very hard to
It's
go back
very
up.
hard to
Unless
come
it's like
back.
an
Yeah.
injury like Joe Burrow had with his leg, or Trey Lance. It might actually be a good thing that he got injured. I hate to say that, but that might But you're right. Mac Jones done. Like Zach
Mhm.
Wilson, I don't think he ever comes back from where he was.
Yeah. I
I don't
kind of
think.
feel bad because I do believe Zach Wilson have this physical skill.
Mhm.
I'm just not sure, if he's the complete package, obviously. And I don't know. Sometimes the Jets is like a quarterback killer, but
They kill quarterbacks. You're 100%
yeah.
right. But they also draft bad quarterbacks. They draft people
Yes,
who have one
exactly.
good college season and you don't
Yep.
know enough about them. The same thing with Mark Sanchez, although he actually had a
Yeah.
little bit of
Well,
success
they
until the
usually
end.
go with guys that have strong arm besides Pennington. It's like they got tired of the Pennington ways and they
Yeah.
just draft with like good quarterbacks. And I mean, quarterbacks that have arm and can't do anything else. But
Yeah. I mean, listen, well, it remains to be seen. Sam Darnold had a good week this past week with
yeah.
Carolina, as an
Mhm.
underdog there.
He's so weird. He always start out well when he comes back from anything, and then let's see if he
And then
could
drops
carry
off.
it. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
funny because, I mean, look, there are cards out there for people to be fans of these guys. There are cards out there for people to invest in these guys. I guess, the couple things learned here. Number one, my conversation with Cajun, there's different ways to do it, right? Like, there are, you don't just have to sell some big pieces, take some money off the table. You definitely don't have to just sell prospects, take
No?
there's different ways of doing it. I appreciate what you're saying. And look, you're probably right. I've sold many things, and I probably should have held on to the Jordan Love instead of selling somebody else that I sold during the last couple of months.
You
I'm also
can't be
buying.
afraid of. You obviously can't be afraid of taking a loss, but patience is so important. People don't think that, oh, why don't you just move them? I move them when I really think there's no potential on this kid. I'm talking about the guys that I really don't like, but I still see a little hope. Instead of, I'm so stubborn when it comes to that.
Okay. So what do you
But
do with the cards? You just put them away? Like we talked 2 episodes ago. You're like Justin Herbert. I'm not even putting them out because the prices are too low. People don't. I just take them. I put
all
them
my
away.
Justin Herbert is I have a couple of NTs. They're just all in the safe right now. I have some golds of people don't even see, and it's just all put away. Because that's the thing about Herbert. I mean, yesterday you could see because his tools were back a little.
Mhm.
So, and he's so young still. To me, there's always Chargers have a lot of good, strong fan base too. So I think, either next year could be a good way to. They could even make the playoff yet. So,
Yeah, still 100%
yeah,
a winning record. Listen, it's a little bit of patience, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's I guess part of what we're talking about here. I don't have it myself. I have to be better with that myself, especially because I mean I have to have confidence that the calls that I make when I'm buying stuff when it's outside my comfort zone. It's not Babe Ruth. When it's somebody who's playing, I'm usually looking for something that has multiple exits. And
Hmm.
Love, I always knew that he could start next year, but I didn't have enough patience with the
Yeah.
market doing what it's doing to make that. When I bought it, I said that, oh, he could be traded
Yep.
preseason.
Hmm.
He could be traded before the deadline. He could get in. I could even
Yep.
have it for next year and just hold it and blah, blah, blah. I just did not have the patience. I saw, okay, it's quick money. I can turn it
Yeah.
around, take a
You
small
just
loss and
gotta
move it
put
into
away
something else.
sometimes,
Yeah.
Just put it away and hopefully you're in well. That's my thing. If you're in there, if you bought Love at like $2,500 for the RPA,
Yeah.
National Treasure, then that's high in my opinion. But if you bought them at like
1,200.
15, yeah, exactly.
1,200.
To
That's
me,
what
that's a hold. Because anybody that just gets a little chance is more than 1,200 right away.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine what they're selling for today. If I had all the stuff,
Yeah,
I had nice stuff, flawless. I was buying all
yeah,
different levels. I'm buying, like
yeah.
the Prism PSA 10 base,
And that
just
was, I was
stuff.
gonna say, that's the best way to do it too. Not just all NT. You gotta buy different range. So if you sell those small stuff now, like like I said, you always the NT could be way lower now or free. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
mhm,
it's just, I wish I still had them and was selling them today instead of selling them a couple
mhm,
weeks ago, but it is what it is. So last part, and I'll wrap it up. Give me
mhm.
some flowers, some kudos. You went to 2 shows. Talk to me about, the people who put on the show in Tarrytown, what you liked about it, what you saw there. And, if you want to drop a little like, hey, they could do this better, you can. I mean, sound like you had 2 good shows. You might not even have something to work on for it, but talk to me about the
um
shows.
Chicago is Chicago. They have a new ownership. I don't
Mhm.
really know the ownership. They're not. They have a big group of people that's working there. I just don't know how to tackle the Chicago promoter. They're old school, but they also in social media, so they're
Yep.
taking care of that. But the New York promoter, Jimmy and Brian, have always been old school. So they listen to me. I've known them. I mean, they voted me Hall of Fame last two
Hall of
years
Fame.
ago, so for White Plains and stuff like that. But we spoke for like maybe 45 minutes yesterday, just talking about how to upgrade, how to get involved in social media, teaching them how to focus a little on reels too. And let me tell you, Jimmy and Brian have some of the biggest and well ran memorabilia business and vintage business. So, but people don't know that. People
Right.
don't know that some of the East Coast dealer have some crazy vintage and memorabilia. So I told them to do some reels. So it was a very productive meeting with them, and how else we could do like some cross promotion, like giveaways for the next show. So the January show is so funny. I was like debating on not doing it since I'm
Uh-oh.
coming since I'm coming back from Hawaii PopCon, you know. So and I'm extending for another week there.
I
So
wouldn't
that's
come back from Hawaii to go to the
exactly.
Northeast. What is wrong with you? Stay in Hawaii.
I know. So yesterday, Jimmy's like, we after that meeting, I have to move my day to come back a little one day early so I could start the show. But I'm like, okay, so based on that, because they have a big Pete
Hawaii.
Alonso is
Okay.
gonna be is
Oh,
gonna
wow. Look
be
at
on the
that.
next show. So we're gonna try to do some cross promotion. Probably, I told them to do a lot of kids giveaways. So we're doing some kids pack, and then I'm doing some promo with them
Where's that?
too.
Hofstra? Or is that back in
No,
town?
it's in White Plains.
White Plains.
Well,
Wow.
Tarrytown again. But they're having like 2 3 rooms and stuff like that. We're having probably a trade night again, so we're trying to promote and bring kids in and stuff like that.
Play
So
catch with Pete Alonso. Let's go. That's what we gotta do.
I know they should do that, right? I, it will make one kid's life, and it will be great for social media.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. I don't know if they can get him to do it. I don't know if the
I
Mets want him
actually
throwing the ball
told
around
them. I
in the
actually
winter.
told them if they could get Pete Alonso just to say he's going to be in White Plains. Like, just say something funny and, that he'll be showing up in White Plains. I think that'll be great. But they don't look so positive. They're like, they
I
don't
mean,
think
listen,
they could get it done.
I'll get
But
a press conference video of Pete Alonso just on stage saying anything, and I'll voice it over. I'm coming to White Plains. I'll be like, it's me, the polar bear. Oh.
that's true,
I'll
actually.
do it.
That's
I
so
don't care.
funny.
I'll do
Actually,
it.
I should
Whatever.
suggest that to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make it. Let's
Mhm.
go. Well, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
trying to do stuff that's bringing kids in. It sounds like for the last couple of shows you were at, there was good foot traffic. There was good, variety of people buying at different levels. People collecting, people filling out their binders.
Mhm.
Little vintage. You still don't see as much vintage across the map, do you?
No, no. But people are looking, even younger kids. I have this 13-year-old kid that's like looking for vintage. He's looking for a Kofax rookie. I'm like,
There you go.
So I'm like, that's great. I mean, it's safer, and I always tell people I don't do it because it's just boring for me. But
I like it. I don't care.
no, no, but that's the thing. But if you want something that's safe and it will grow, those are the things. And I do think those things will grow. It's just that I want to watch it and correlate with the athlete that I'm rooting for.
Listen, and that's a different type of fandom. It really is.
Yeah.
The collectible stuff that I talk about. I did a reel last week. I don't know exactly what it was. It was just from an episode from one of our shows. They clip it and they put it out there. I'm an idiot. I sound like a moron. But we're talking about this recent Andy Warhol that sold, a piece of art, and it sold. The person who sold it made millions of dollars. It was like a huge, increase. But they held it for 10, 15, 20 years. And if you worked out the annualized return from the purchase to the sale, it was like a 14% return. And what I was saying was, people in this hobby, at least the people who have come in the last couple of years, they would scoff at that. Like, I have people telling me, like, I'm on a 14% return. I mean, if I can't 2x this card by next month, it's not worth my time. And you're like, what?
Yeah, we got spoiled, But that's how vintage is, though. You need to let it sit. And I tell people, I always ask, like, people always come up to me, like, can you help me build a portfolio? I just had 2 grandkids. I want to buy some card that could be good for their college and help the parents, and stuff like that. So I told them, build majority of your portfolio probably in vintage, and then some modern, so you could get a little influx when somebody gets hot. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, it's like anything else, right? Diversify your portfolio, check out your risk. You got more risk in some penny stocks. Put some penny stocks, some Jordan Love. You gotta love it. So what shows are you going to next? What's on the future calendar?
So this weekend is Philly. It's gonna be good. It's probably the strongest show in the East Coast, so I'll be doing that, and there's tons of Eagle signing, tons of Philly signing. It's gonna be fun.
So I stumbled upon an account called Trade Nights. I think it's a cool idea. I'm gonna reach out to them. So here you go, free promotion, guys. So guys, I guess here you go, Trade Nights. You had no idea this was coming. So there you go. It's tradenights.com. And basically it's like a live show like calendar. And it's an account on Instagram. It's called just trade underline like underscore nights.
So you could just tag them in an event and they will repost it?
Yeah. And they post what card shows are coming up and the whole 9 yards.
That's cool.
Card shows in your location, the whole deal. It used to be something you'd have in like a Beckett magazine. I'm looking for it. Right? People like auctionreport.com is a site that I use. People don't know about. It's like an old man thing, and you can see, okay, this auction's ending tonight. PWCC's on there, Golden's on there, Heritage, and some lesser known, whoever's on, Huggins and Scott. And
we need something like that. So a lot of people are like asking me recently, like, how do I find what shows? I get tons of messages like what shows and like in their own hometown, that they don't have to travel. I wish there's a site that promoter could just submit, kind of like how Beckett worked before, for free, for free. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you have the same place, then your grading companies, your other companies who are going to be there can also say, I'll be there. Beckett could say, we'll have on-site grading or take home submission. SGC can say, we're going to be there. And now it's one centralized location. It's a good thing.
Exactly. I wish somebody,
this is the closest thing to it that I could find. Trade Nights, reach out to me. Maybe you sponsor the Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged. Maybe we'll make you to this. I'm surprised there isn't one.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, because I think it's needed. But I do. Some messages are mostly like, "Oh, where I could find you, what shows are there," And then he's like, one guy's like, "Is there any New York show?" I said, "This weekend." Oh, I'm in Albany though. So I'm like,
yeah, I mean, New York's big. You're gonna come down. You take a train. I used to take the train. I used to take the train to Albany.
Yeah, once a week actually. Oh wow.
Yep, once a week. We're talking 10 years ago, maybe a little more.
Oh, I'm like that's
every Wednesday. Used to go into Penn Station, take a train all the way up to Albany, work in Albany, and come back the same day.
How many hours is that?
So the train's only like 3-4 hours each way.
Long.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than driving, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. There was a bar card.
Oh.
Only on the way back when work was done. I wasn't drinking in the morning. I mean, I was on train. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I didn't want to drink anything but Coke Zero.
Oh my God! Okay.
This has been fun. I like talking about this stuff. Chicago was a good show for you. Sounds like Tarrytown was great, and you got Philly coming up. What are you looking forward to with Philly?
I think retail is going to be great too in Philly. It's getting closer to the holidays. Usually the busiest month I have besides the national, like the August month, is, the holiday season. So
you will have a showcase of just Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith,
no,
and AJ
see,
Brown cards.
I sold a lot of my Jalen Hurts actually. So I don't have much left. I probably have like two. I have a bunch of Tua, which might either I sell it or go to Golden, but
Well, so talk me through it. You sold Jalen Hurts. I said sell Jalen Hurts. A lot of people will probably be like, "Wow, she really sold." Is it because it's not that you don't believe in him? It's just that the amount of upside that's there for you to catch going forward is limited. You might as well sell your stuff. Talk to me about why.
So one thing I learned from this football hobby for 20 years is hot streak is the hottest thing.
Yep.
I mean, it will sell hotter than Super Bowl even. So he is in one of those streak that you don't see a 9-game streak every year. The longest is like 5, 6, you know. So to me, you got to take advantage of his streak. And it just happened that, I took a loss obviously during that auction. I did give him a big card, but not the black. I gave him a national treasure. Luckily, I paid good for it. I paid like 4,000 for it, and it sold for 8,500. So I still doubled my money. But everybody's like, "Oh, he's down. He's down." People don't understand that card. I mean, it was a 7.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm happy to get rid of it. They were selling for above 10K before, but it's okay to take. I didn't take a loss.
Right. Well, it's not a loss. I mean, people who want it to be 15.
Yeah, but it's just not at 15, But I'm okay with that. So now if you think about it, 4,000 profit, and then now your black whatever you have rest in your investment, now it becomes
free
and lower
house money, and you can take that 8,500 and put it into something else.
Yes,
right. You can buy those.
Okay, not Jordan Love right now. Not Jordan.
Not Jordan Love. I wish I held on to my Jordan Love.
Yes,
but we all have that, guys. It's important for me to tell you guys this stuff too, because we're not on here talking at you guys. We're doing the same stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, here's Aaron's telling
you.
And
the weird part is you bought it, so that means you had the right instinct. You just gotta follow through, though. That's the thing. And I always tell kids that. So there are kids that like message me, "Is it time to sell?" I text one of my kids, it's time to consider. I'm not saying you should sell your Jordan Love, but it's time to consider, maybe a few pieces. Yeah, maybe a few pieces. Because if you don't sell now, you have to wait till next year, basically. I'm talking about the start of the season to get, if he has the job, But it's not even guaranteed because they could pick a quarterback again.
What's funny is Jordan Love. It's amazing how it works out. Like, I was so right and yet I was so wrong because I sold. But I think they play Chicago this week, who Green Bay usually owns, especially Rodgers owns it. But if Rodgers isn't playing, you got Chicago and then you have a bye. So, I mean, you could
Chicago possibly without Fields.
Without Fields, potentially, right? Or an injured Fields at best. So, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where you could be in prime selling position of Jordan Love right now. But
yes. This is the perfect timing to sell him, in my opinion.
The point is, we get it wrong too.
Yeah, of course we get it wrong.
We get it wrong too. And, I mean, I think it's part of the fun of it, being able to tell the stories and share the stories, right? Because, I mean, getting it wrong on a card and taking a loss on it doesn't mean, wow, I'm dumb. I got to get out of this. You didn't come in to be right about every single call, and you don't have to be right about every single call. And, I mean, I think it's important for you to share that. It's important for people to know you're selling some Jalen Hurts. So what are you going to bring? What are you bringing to Philly? Everything.
I have Tuas.
Tua.
I still have Hurts. I'm not like big ones, but I have smaller Hurts and stuff like that. People has been asking me, "Oh, can I take a picture with the black Hurts?" But I don't even bring them anymore. So people just want to take pictures.
That's cool though. And so give me this. In the last 2 weeks, give me one or two things you picked up, either foot traffic walking in, somebody, sold it to you, something you were looking for and saw at a show from another dealer, maybe a trade you made, something cool that you didn't have 2 weeks ago, last time we spoke, that you picked up at one of the shows.
Okay, so one of my favorite pickup this White Plains is, people don't know that I collect weird stuff, not just I collect non-sport.
Well, you are weird. Doesn't surprise me. We're both weird. It's just
so I found somebody sold me a couple of complete set of Big Bang Theory signed.
Okay.
What's her name? The
Haley,
girl Koku.
Cuoco, whatever. I don't know.
Raw just sold for like $3,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I have the complete set. Everybody's like 200-300, couple of them 500, and some guys like, can you buy this off me for $1,000? You know,
For the whole set.
Yeah, for the
And
whole
these are
set.
like pack pulled, or he had somebody
Oh
like
no, these are pack pulled.
Pack pulled. Oh wow.
Yeah, so I was like, it was a nice pickup, and right away I'm so excited. Got home, look at the condition, cleaned it, and ready for PSA.
There you go. I mean,
So
listen,
you know,
that's old Sheldon, right? Not young Sheldon.
No, but it's just fun. Okay, it's not about making money, but it is making money too, you know. But it's also fun. It's it's probably good. I'm gonna hold it a little, but see, those are stuff that you could sell anytime, though.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, that's also. It seems like you're enjoying that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's
it was fun. Yeah. So I always tell people, you gotta like what you do.
I don't know when it's coming, but I ordered some Stranger Things cards. My daughter watched that show. I mean, I ordered them from like the Netflix store or something like that. I think they're like zero cool.
Did you get a few of those packs during National and give it to her?
No.
Oh man, they were selling for like $200-$300. Those packs.
It was hard. There was a machine was there, and I was busy just getting yelled at by everybody during National. People just want to yell at me. It's what happens. I have a very like a punchable face.
You could have gone there.
I'll get them now. I'll get the stuff.
And you don't, Josh Luber. Josh Luber could have gotten you one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'm just kidding. I know. I'm not like that either. People are like, oh, you could just go to Josh and get this. I'm like, no.
I did order some though. I mean, they were like $50 a box, something like that. I ordered a couple boxes. So I mean, the pop culture stuff is cool. I mean, it's something different.
I have so much of those. So
Stranger Things. Or just
no.
general?
Pop culture in general. So
yeah, I mean, it's part of the fun of collecting, right? So you had fun there. Pick that up. Anything else in the sport world that you picked up? Last we spoke a couple times ago, you were looking at maybe like Scotty Barnes, like RPAs and that kind of stuff. Are people bringing those to shows? Are those still coming down? Any bargains?
Yeah, I just picked up a very sick Maxi first off the line NT with like a sick patch, and it's still sealed, So it's time to pick up Maxi a little. He's a little out, The card before was like 12,000. I picked it up for like $6,000. So
wow, because he's injured, right? Because he's a little banged up. So
but it's only like he's 2 weeks out, So I'm like, it was a no-brainer pickup. So there are stuff that's like, don't just sell everything. There are stuff that's good to pick up, that you could make money. So
there you go. I like that. If you have a little bit of patience, which I don't, you find a guy like Maxi who's great.
I think you'll learn though. I think you'll be more patient next time. I could see that.
I don't know. That was really out of character for me to buy like a Jordan Love. I remember telling Andrew I was doing it. He's like, "You're insane. Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Because there's all these potential exits." And I just didn't
knowing that you almost did it, you just made the wrong decision. Yeah. I think it will make you do it again.
Maybe. Listen. I'll cross my fingers. Maybe I'll be smarter next time. I just think next time I just won't have it next time because I'm just not a gambler. I'll buy people who are dead, not shiny.
These are gambling. This is gambling. So big time.
I mean, it's really what it is.
But Andrew does it all the time, no?
He does. But he goes to show and buys. I don't want to speak for him. I don't know if he's ever really winning. Every once in a while you win in blackjack. I don't know if he's ever winning.
No, I don't know. I thought you have no patience. Andrew has no patience, dude.
This is true.
Bought some card in Chantilly, showed me on Friday. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I'm keeping this card. I saw him the next day. He's like, where's the card? Oh, I sold it.
Sold it already. Yeah, he gets his ants in his pants a little bit. But, it's fun. But that's fun at shows.
Exactly.
You know what I look forward to? It's kind of why I like the bigger shows. When the grading companies have on-site grading, it just changes a show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then you can buy stuff raw, and you can increase your liquidity right there with a bag. Like, I bought this card, and boom, I turned it into a 9.5 from back in.
So 2 shows are gonna have on-site, I think, coming up, which is very rare. Dallas and Burbank.
Okay.
So for people want to know if they want to do some on-site, because most people just wait till nationals to do it. But now they have 2 options, 2 of the bigger show right now, obviously, Dallas and Burbank. So they're going to have it. And they're also near Texas and Cali area. That's why they're doing it. But,
there we go. Gotta love it. Burbank's going to be interesting because it's Super Bowl weekend.
I know. Well, table is very expensive. One of the most expensive table, actually.
Really?
compared to other shows. Yeah, but they know they're hot. The show is hot. It's $500, I think, for one 6-foot table.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that come with continental breakfast? Because if it doesn't, Andrew's not going.
I don't think so. They found a bigger spot, so.
No good. Well, listen, this has been fun. Thank you. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. We'll talk about the Philly show. After you hit that, and I'm sure it's going to kind of quiet down a little bit as the holidays approach towards the end of the year. Is Philly going to be the last one?
Yeah, there's a couple of New York show. The promoter called me, like the one-day show in the city, which is very packed usually. It's a good show, but I'm a little tired right now. I'm actually looking forward to like a few weeks of break.
All right.
I haven't had any break, so.
Maybe we'll go to the New York show as consumers. We'll just walk in for an hour.
Yeah, I'm planning to do that. Yes. Yeah.
We'll have the phones out like this. It's Uncaged live at the show.
I'm glad to do
that. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.